you think of instances where the poor communications caused issues at work?
No question there have been cases where people misinterpret information and sometimes get quite emotional about it, right? So we've had, I'll give one example. There was a project that I was working on that it was a new product we just finished designing. It was a mobile phone, and it had a quality issue. And so everyone was really stressed out about this quality issue because it was a hit in the market. It was like the best-selling product ever. And so they needed to have this issue solved right away. And the very initial communication of what the issue wasn't clear. And so senior managers that were far removed from the details of the project misinterpreted what the issue was. And that created 5 times more communication to get everybody back on track to what actually was the issue and what actually needed to be done to solve it. And it probably cost the company, $1 million in sales.
I thought I knew how to write, and then I got out on the job, and I think my first 2 or 3 times I had to write a big long paper or a presentation, and I had to sit with all the senior engineers that are, this is all wrong, and they're just changing everything. So I learned I had many times where they threw it back at me, totally redlined, and eventually I was able to, learn the right way to present stuff, I guess.
Right. So how much stuff from school do you think really translated once you started working?
I think writing was one of the things that translated the most, because I don't think my job, they expect me to know that going into the job.
Any particular kind of writing?
I think writing essays definitely helps with your communication skills, but definitely putting together presentations.
I knew the mechanics of writing maybe from school, but once I started working, I realized that kind of efficiency of what you're trying to communicate is really important. A lot of people don't have time to do a lot of reading. So if you can say something in
So I think I'm still learning that, because I've been prepping for a webinar and I have 7 pages of notes and it needs to be 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to present to management or somebody else in the team. We all have more things that we know, but you just can't say it all, so you need to figure out a way to summarize the stuff. Mm-hmm. I've had guys who, they have so much to say and they write these big long, every detail, every fact, web links to everything, great. And that's fine, keep it there, but you need a summary at the front, some way to convey what you want to say, but we just don't have time to read every single thought you have. And if we want to know more, we can go into it. One of the roles I had was looking at a lot of invention disclosures from the engineers. And I've always worked with really good engineers, and they always have lots of really good ideas. And one of the things we try to do then is write up those ideas and disclosures and then hopefully get some patents. And a number of times I've looked at disclosures, and it might be a page, it might be 5 pages, there might be drawings and all kinds of things, and I still don't know what the heck they're trying to say. And if I don't understand what the idea is, if you can't state clearly, here's my idea, we as a patent review board, couldn't do anything with it. Now, sometimes we'd ask them to rewrite it or make it more clear. Sometimes we just, I don't know, time or whatever, you go, I give up. I don't know what this is, it must not be a good idea.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are if you can't
communicate clearly what your special idea is.
I have delegated things before where I'm thinking, these are simple instructions, you're just going to explain to our client how to do this within our application. And the email's sloppy, I was copied on it, it's sloppy, and then I have to go back and write the instructions again, and it reflects poorly on not only the person, but the company as a whole.
It's unprofessional, and it makes a lot of extra work too, right?
Yeah,
so now it's real inefficient. Yeah.
So something you said just kind of strikes a chord with me about the importance of simplicity, and I can think of one situation where we were having kind of a brainstorming session trying to figure out, at a strategic level, what was going to be the next thing that we were going to do. And rather than kind of write out a lengthy description of an idea, someone was able to kind of present that by actually just explaining, here's the experience my idea will create. And that really resonated. It was extremely simple, really resonated. And then, all right, let's bog through all these details of how that actually works. And the other folks in the room at the time had been talking about their ideas in terms of, here's how this might work, here's how this might work, and they were missing the point, which was what experience you were going to deliver.
And then from that experience, you could, here's the technical thing that makes us experience what, how it works. Here's how you make that experience happen.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I think, like in terms of researchers, lots of people are doing research. They're doing fundamental study, scientific work in the lab, collecting data. But if you have someone that can communicate really simply, here's the point, then all the rest of that stuff makes sense, right? And you can get the funding or whatever you need. If you can't explain the point, then getting the job done can be much more difficult.
I think you're right. I mean, same thing. I've sat on the other end of proposals. And if you get a proposal that you don't understand it, I don't know how to say it. There's this intangible, like, I don't like this one. I'm probably not going to pick it because I don't get their main idea. I don't understand the detail, what they're trying to say. So.
I think any manager is going to know if you're communicating well or not. Whether or not that's one-on-one, you hear about it, right? People.
Yeah, whether it's directly or whether people are, people believe they can work with you. I understand. We work well together. We understand each other. We, get things done together.
I know in the first place that I worked at a school, there were 4 or 5 traits that were specifically on the performance review, and one was communication. And that was one that it played a big part in evaluation for potential promotion, for obviously salary, compensation adjustments, things like that. So it's valuable.
And I don't think there's hardly any job description that goes out, and that's always on there. It needs to be an effective communicator or strong communication skills required.